Yeah.
Dan will be good for the road. And
Dan will be very
Oh,
good.
the Dan will be road too, the dorms.
Yeah.
Did you do that sale?
Yeah.
You do all the sales.
I don't do all of them. I just found one today my friend Kristen got, and I didn't get
Super
it.
nice people.
Yeah, they are. They are very.
I'm glad you're not competitive.
Is anybody missing any documents? I give you one of these, Scott, the Engage.
Fortunately.
I have 4 copies of what I have designed.
I can get copies made for you. Hi, Justin, you're on speaker with the group. We haven't yet started. We're getting ready to. I just emailed you the Lake Winnicook file, the library, and the ELC. There's 2 separate emails.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Yep.
Very good. Well, why don't you lead us in our flag salute this
You
evening?
can do that.
And
You
you might not even want to stand.
Stand up. Justin, I
You don't
expect
want
you to be
to.
standing. If you want it.
We see you standing in spirit. That's great.
Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all so much. Thank you for joining us virtually. So appreciate it. Well, it's really good. We, just for a point of reference and order, we definitely want to go through and Jean is here with us and has presented something from Unity Public Library. And so we definitely want to, if we had, it's baseball season, guys, so endure with me. We got a leadoff batter. When you got a proposal that nice, you've got to start with it. So we're going to do our leadoff batter, change the order a little bit, and invite Jean to share with us what she's brought forward today for, it looks like our Pikeway Trail and some other elements, but feel free to.
Yeah, I
To
just want to
share with
remind
us.
everybody that the money I'm asking you to approve is simply, you're approving that what I'm describing is TIP eligible, because funds have already been allocated.
Right, there's the 50,000, yeah.
2021. So, but just as a, what we usually do is that the selectmen just say, yes, that's eligible. So I think you're at the, we're putting a story walk on a nice trail that's pretty near, wheelchair accessible. Runs from Main Street to Newell Court. And
It's a nice
do
one.
that, and we want to put a nice entrance to that trail, because I think I referenced to something else that we're doing. It will also serve as an entry to the Sandy Stream Loop. And we're, Scott, if you want to join us, we'll be doing an initial walk of that proposed trail Friday morning. So the idea of a loop is that you get to park in one place and come back to your car 3.5 miles later, up one side of the stream and down the other.
Nice.
And so, we go up Connor Mill and down a couple of properties, and we already had two landowners with us, including Ralph Mason. And Dina White. So anyhow, so we'll go and see if that's actually doable to turn, come across the bridge and come back down. Anyhow, that's a later thing, but that's not related to this, but the archway entrance is plenty wide enough because this is a bike trail. And I think your kids and our library kids, people, it can be seasonal, sometimes it will be stories, children's stories, sometimes it will be poems, seasonal, natural information about the nature stuff there.
So just a quick question. So some of the panels that we're looking at, you're gonna have the ability to change seasonally or through the year or year, oh, that's
At least
beautiful.
4 times a year.
So
Oh, that's beautiful.
it's kind of essentially like a picture frame,
Yeah.
like, but it's plexiglass glass over it.
Some of them are just, I mean, not
Permanent,
like this, but some more permanent, but that's a great idea.
One of them has story walk along the trail. I'll send you to this.
That's good. Maybe separate, but are there any other, separate from this piece, are there any other things that you need, either people or resource or help with, or you mentioned some of the residents or others Are there other things that you're still waiting on or would be helpful to
I just
do?
need to check.
So, my God.
It's
Good.
Check.
That's the, you come to the right place.
Fortunately, in a period of time
Sure.
where we have a lot of active trail volunteers.
Right now, yeah.
Brian Coleman heads up that committee, and you've seen the repair they did to the bog bridging over behind the food hub, and new signs, actually the signs are still good, they're metal, but new wooden frames for the signs that are starting to go up. So it's a good trails period. And also doing stuff with trails now, it's going to make us look very good. The $30 million trails bond money is filtering down now through the state agencies. And, Nikki Leisure happens to be one of those agencies, and Jeff McCabe happens to be on another. So I think we're looking good there, but we do want to do further grant writing against that 30 million for repair of the walking bridge over here and the what do we call it, the boardwalk, we're gonna call it the Don Newell boardwalk. He designed
To make a call, please
We
hang up
lost
and try.
Justin?
We lost Justin. Keep going, I'll get him back.
So that's about it, it's a pretty simple thing.
He's probably out on the boat a little bit ago.
We spent about half of our $50,000 library allotment.
That's the trail, the one that goes other side of the racetrack, across the stream.
No, that's Connor Mill Trail.
Right, but it hooks all that up together,
Yes,
right?
it does, up Connor Mill
Nice.
Trail. And then if you're very close, if you keep on going on Connor Mill, you come to the bridge
Yep.
on 139.
Yep.
Okay, hold on, I'll put you back on
And then
speaker.
you come down,
There you go.
couple properties,
Yep.
Venus properties, then you're on the racetrack property, which goes along the back of the stream,
Mhm.
alongside the stream, which needs a bit of cleanup, and, the racetrack has not been real friendly to that stream, there's some things in the water that's already come out, so, trail people will take care of that too.
A tire that flew off maybe, or we don't know.
No, people dump back there, campers,
Yes.
of that kind. It's been like that for 30
Years,
years since I've
yeah.
been here, so
Oh,
doesn't make it right.
Yeah, and in dealing with the landowners, we want to make it the trail along the street as much as possible, and we'll need to pull up, like a split rail fence if they need a separator between the trail and them.
Well, I want to open it for, we can get to questions, but are there any other elements related to like just general questions about the project proposal, anything else that comes to mind?
Will you be able to complete this before the fair?
For Common Ground?
I'm counting days, as you will. I don't know how long the order would take, I get money, I put out an
90,
order.
80 plus days. We have 80 days.
It is,
The fair.
That'd be really good.
yeah.
It's a big project. Yeah,
Just
80 at most.
Yeah, the top of the 19 days.
As far as the design of the archway, that's up to some discussion when we, but Jim Bahush and Kelly Salmon live across from the entrance to the trail, both artisan carpenters, and I thought they could come up with a nice design.
Nice to get some news media out there with the camera.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
just a little press release and.
You're ready to dedicate.
Yeah, yeah, like when you go to do dedication or when it's complete, letting you know it's
Always
ready.
vehicles. When I come down the hill
Mm.
and go to turn and look, there's always vehicles there.
Yep.
That is
Yeah,
always vehicles there. Whether they're digging fiddleheads or doing whatever they're doing down there, there's always vehicles. Paddling.
Fishing.
No, oh, please.
If I'm not an EDC.
you can,
person.
yeah.
No,
Just as a big fan of, story walks and having enjoyed them, like in Liberty, I don't know if you've been up from
That turns on.
the library, that is the hill, the mountain.
That's not-
Why not?
No,
Yeah, that's
Liberty
part
wants to
of
offer it on Metro State. Anyway, they've had a story walk there, and I don't know, I think I've been drawn into the town before for other business, like surely you can go to Liberty Tool, and there's other graphics because of the story walk. First time hearing about this, and I'm wildly excited.
Yeah,
It's a great idea.
good. Kids will be involved.
Just a comment, it would be nice to showcase some
It's
Maine
gonna connect.
children's authors would be really
We just
cool
have a main children walking in
and come in.
read their story.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, I've got some connections for a couple. So definitely, I'll get you their names. That's definitely sounds like a great idea and option for,
In the beginning of the trail skirts behind the district's office, right?
Yes, it goes
Which
right
would,
through
the
the,
kids could go, like, the Head Start kids could head on
Swing
that
benches
trail.
to sit on.
possibly, how old are Head Start kids? Are they all-
preschool, so fourth,
Yeah.
fifth. It would be with supervision, obviously, but they could maybe get it put into the educational program.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just that high schoolers holding the preschoolers' hands. So locations prime for that.
One other last question, and I noticed the element for the,
Materials for benches.
for the benches.
There's materials,
Is
$100.
someone building your benches? Is that why they're donating their labor?
We have tons of benches already built. I don't know if you saw that, we
Okay.
built a dozen. Emily Newell donated a whole bunch of cedar.
Oh,
nice.
Cut it up into Leopold bench kits.
Nice.
And maybe 4 of us on Saturday morning bolted 12 of them together. They're
Okay.
over at the library, and a couple of them have already gone out to trails, but they are 4 trails.
okay,
They're a very simple bench called the Leopold bench.
sure. Okay, great. I just wanted to make sure that when I saw those, I thought, well, is there any more budget you need for that? And the only other thing that came to mind was if ever you wanted to do something for a sponsorship or somebody maybe like, since you all put your time and effort into this, maybe somebody would like sponsor them and put a little something on there for your bench.
Yeah, we were
Maybe.
thinking about if somebody wanted to donate materials, we would burn their logo.
Mhm.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
That'd be sweet. Cool.
In memory of benches or
Some of them
something.
burn
In memory of benches.
Like people calling you.
For sure.
Leopold, whatever.
Yes. Good. Well, would anyone like to make a motion to accept the proposal and budget included?
Move to vote on the proposal.
I'm assuming we have all the necessary funding.
Yeah, they had 50,000
It's
set
debt
aside to funds that for specifically for library. It just has to be verified that it's eligible. Yeah, I think so, right around there. I can give you the exact number if you want, I'll send you an email with the exact number.
Did you
That's
just
great.
propose?
Yeah,
I'll
those.
Second?
Second, okay. Any final discussion? Debate, I think we're good.
Sounds like an easy one.
Okay, yeas have it. Thank you.
Great,
Cool.
thanks very much.
Can you just raise your hand on your vote so that we get the count, because we are live? Yep.
Thanks again, Mel.
Thank you so much.
Cool. Jumping into Lisa.
Yes.
Hi there.
I think your 4 copies are great, because we just,
Okay,
the 4 of us here, and we'll be
Okay,
good.
it's just a lot of paper, and I've had this prepared for weeks and weeks, actually. I came in enthusiastically to Charlene a couple weeks ago saying, I have all the receipts and I'm ready for money, and she's like, wait a minute. And so I've been, anyway, here, I'll pass it out, and this is,
Did I bring the other copy back?
this
Give
is my.
one to Shirley, because we can share it personally right here.
Original
Yeah.
that I just wanted to keep back, if that's okay.
That's okay, we'll
Someone
give
needs-
it back. I've got the other one in the other room, and I've got a digital copy now because I emailed it to. Actually,
So
maybe I'll pull that up.
my understanding from the last time I came here was that I could adjust things, because I had brought in a very long list, like $50,000 worth of expenses, and just talked about how hoisting this new community resource, theater, that has been used for memorial service, it's been used for, rentals, it's been used for students recital, and just a community space, it's a warm space during the Yule tide. I really, just getting the kitchen working just getting potable water,
Hmm.
having it be a public water source, having the plumbing work, there were so many, I want to just say like facility crises that we took on. So February 14th, we got the keys of 2024. And then since that time, we've spent over $50,000. And so this is just like a very small amount that is focused. I just narrowed it down to water, bathrooms, kitchen. So like having it be a working space so that if someone wanted to have a memorial service or wanted to have a concert with refreshments for the community, for the public, those are things that we had to do as a bare minimum. And I'm happy to explain any of them. But the request is simply that it's a new request, and I was thinking that instead of looking back through some of our other requests, which had been like marketing for a Cricut maker cutter, I was like, you know what? we might not need some of those other things as much as we just plain need funds to make sure that the water and heating system is working.
Restrooms, everything.
Yeah, the restrooms, the heat pumps to keep that place heated we're so, we've had to, you can see, we've had to have people come
Were
in
they
and
just
fix
dirty?
and
They
fix.
need to be
They
clean?
weren't maintained, and I think that we were told that they were maintained, and so I went into it trying to generously in our budget, because we had to have this approved by the Charter Commission, we had a lot of other hoops to jump through with the state of Maine to make sure we could reopen that building and fund it, and we thought we were putting in ample funds to just get it started, but it has been outrageously expensive.
Wow.
So, I feel this year, this past year that just went by, I think we did scored a D- in how we were able to draw in people to the Cliff. We definitely had a couple sellout shows. We had people coming from out of town, but it was a fraction of what we wanted to do. It was a fraction of what we set out to do. And I don't have any good excuses. I'm not here to make excuses. I did want to just share what the real-time expenses were to get it hoisted to correct what we didn't do so well this past year. I have hired on a new co-director. So Matthew Hawkins has been the director in a half-time position. He is going to continue as the director, but as a co-director. So he's going to have a little bit less time. And then I'm bringing on someone who's a K-12 certified art teacher who has some really strong skills to leverage our arts. Her name is Oda Baxter. She's on our website if you wanted to check out Oda. And she also is coming in with some other talents at Fiber Arts and having done art displays, Bowdoin College alum. And I guess the other thing too is as I wear a lot of hats at the school, and each year I set forth goals as a superintendent, a principal, and an executive director, and it's kind of a funny combination. A lot of principals and superintendents aren't also trying to run a community business, and it's not my training. I don't have a business degree. But I did set as one of my goals this year to have a business plan for the Cliff by August. And so once I can get enough funding to get the electric bills paid and the repairs done, this has to be an endeavor where we're bringing in more people. We're pulling in people from out of town, we're pulling in people from the town. It's inclusive. We have a clay studio that I'd really love to start having camps for youth, and any time that the school is not running as a high school, I'd like the weekends, the evenings, and the school vacations, including the summer, for it to be a vibrant place where people are learning and creating and celebrating the arts. So, like I said, I feel like we did a poor job this past year. We are in a great place as a school. The kids we have 120 students. Each year we increase our numbers. Our numbers are continuing to pull in students outside of RSU 3. And if you're interested in kind of our impact on the local school district. I am presenting a week from today at, it is a week from today, on Monday at the RSU3 school board to just talk about ways in which I know the district is struggling with their numbers, and I'm very sympathetic to that and aware of that and concerned about that as a partner. And so I'll be presenting on what the real numbers are of how many students are coming from the 11 towns of RSU3, and then how many are coming from outside of the town. And I really see that as economic development as well, because we have quite a few students coming from, they come from 35 different towns and 5 different counties. And so just Monday through Friday, 175 days out of the year, we have kids and families coming and spending money at Dunkin'. They're spending money at the gas station. They're spending money at the depot.
Definitely.
They're spending money, and they're bringing in, they're bringing in awareness to Unity from outside of Unity, even outside of Waldo County at this point.
Sweet.
So,
Can I ask just a couple of general
yes,
questions?
please.
For the, related to the schools, do you have any sense of percentage or by number of how many are, like, just, I'm always curious about homeschooling versus
Yes.
the districts. And so that segment, I don't know how strong that is here in Maine, but other places, other states, it's exploded
Yes.
since 2020. So I'm
Yes.
just curious if you want to just mention
Yes.
where some numbers are and what's that's.
Yeah.
How
Thank
that's
you.
shaping
That's
your
my
program.
favorite. That's my favorite question. And it's
I
really.
saw the back, so I thought there's the softball, just.
Yeah. Yeah, so I had a dream for the school 15 years ago when my children were attending Morse Memorial, which we know now is closing. And the dream was because I saw a niche of homeschooling families coming from the homesteading history of Waldo County, that there's a real need for these homeschooling families to have other options when they get to high school. They may not want to send their child to a large school, and so what's the stepping stone in between a small homeschooling community and a large district public school? And so that was the seed vision for the school. That's the whole reason we came to be. I founded it for homeschooling families. Our homeschooling population continues to grow, and so the percentage is roughly a third. And it's wonderful because it's the opposite of a threat to RSU3. It's pulling in students that never would have attended RSU3 anyway, but once their older child is attending attending the Ecology Learning Center, they may put their middle schooler into Mount View, or even their elementary student, because there's that shift in parenting when it's like, okay, I got one in school, I'm shifting out of doing all homeschooling, maybe I'll have all of our students in school. And it again is also like pulling in a population out of homes into community-based learning.
That's really good.
Did that answer that question?
No, that was
Okay.
I just-
We
I was
also-
curious.
We also have a homeschool enrichment program that is a tuition-based. It's 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. We have 20 students. That's another economic support to the town that we've been doing since we opened. It was the pilot originally for the Ecology Learning Center. And it meets at the community center, and the Ecology Learning Center Bridge program is what it's called, pays the community center to rent that space.
Okay. Cool. Questions? Any questions or feedback?
What I was spending a lot of time on before this, and it's something I guess I need to sit down with you, Charlotte, but I didn't want to be making a request without cleaning up all the past. And Charlotte.
They're open grants, so you can access them at any time, what's left, as long as it's approved by, it's approved TIF eligible.
Okay,
Once they've been awarded, you just have to submit
Okay.
receipts against them that meets the scope of those specific applications. Why I suggested a different application for this is because it's an entirely different scope.
okay. Thank you, that's really helpful. I was thinking that, I thought in the last meeting, I was kind of making an appeal that we have more dire needs than what I had applied for. But when you had said that, I just went ahead and this is a whole new grant. And then I'm ready to invoice about 90% of the other ones of these. I feel uncomfortable asking for 10,000 more if I haven't invoiced for all the ones and my board of directors is like, why haven't you invoiced for this yet? It's mostly just, yeah, the sign we haven't paid for yet, and I know that we can't be invoicing for something we haven't paid for yet, and then part of it was the weather and it not being, can't put a vinyl up there in the middle of December, January.
Sure.
So I'm happy to go through this as well, but I think it's like past tense and maybe more just invoicing review.
So those are all previously approved, you're just kind of enjoying.
Yeah.
Except for the new one, yeah.
Right, except for
We needed it all cleaned up.
Yeah, that was like the batch we cleaned up 2 months ago.
Yes, exactly. And then on my end, I just haven't further cleaned it up.
Everything, okay. All right, we're just checking it. Okay.
Is this
Just
too
can't
much,
make you
too
laugh.
much paperwork to lift for you?
It's not good.
He's sweating down his brow. Yeah, okay. That's good. Charlotte, do you want to?
I was just checking what allocations we have left in community grant,
about to
barring
Ask you.
barring what we've approved this year.
Mhm.
So, because I know that we did approve yours and what hasn't been dispersed from yours. Yours is the only one that's open. So I currently have, before putting those in, 32,943.58. So you figure we allotted what, 5 to you, to Marion's Car Wash this year?
That's already dispersed. Though.
Yeah, but it's not been dispersed from my spreadsheet. I just pulled it up because I wanted to know. And then I think that we dispersed close to $2,000-ish.
1,400.
14.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's still plenty available to
Well,
allocate.
We still have the park thing hanging out there. The site board checked out.
That's not, that
Really,
is
what's in
the
here?
trail stuff.
It was approved.
That's not community grant.
No,
That's in
the-
trails.
The lien.
That's in trails.
Oh, that was.
So this is
Yeah,
just-
my bad.
This is what's, so there's allocations.
Nope.
There's several allocations that have happened at different times during over the year of the town meetings. So each one is subrogated down through what they were approved for. And in community grants, those are all approved by this board and then the select board. And that, what we have left still
That's-
allocated was the 32 less the 2 grants that have been dispersed
That was
this year.
trails, right?
Yeah.
So the 32,000 includes, like, is that before?
That's what
this is
I've
taken off,
picked
Or after this is taken off?
before.
Okay.
Not allocated.
So I take 4, so if I take 6,400 away from that number, I forgot my phone, if anyone wants to do the math. We have left roughly 26.5 left-ish
Right.
in the community grant program. That's,
And we're gonna pull 10 more?
that would be, we would allocate another 10
Yeah,
from
what's
that,
the
yeah.
total left pending?
10?
She said,
Yeah,
she had 5,000.
I've got just under 5, another 600, 1,500. So it's about 8,000.
Still in goal.
So 26 minus 8,
18.
18
18.
minus 11. That's it for the year.
7 more.
So, yeah.
And we're only not even halfway
Well,
through.
yeah, we're halfway through.
That's why you gotta come early.
First come, first served.
That's right.
That is how most grant programs do
It
actually
is,
work, so.
100%.
Exactly. how they
Especially
work.
if you gotta get it when the word is out.
That's right.
And I really welcome critique, requests, because I know that I really want that 200-seat theater to be your living room. It's, I'm glad it's not being held hostage anymore. I'm glad
AI,
that.
strike that.
Yeah, because it's sat empty for a while, right?
Right.
It's not empty.
Yeah.
I just want more representation from the whole town and beyond. It's extremely well used right now by a lot of kids
Mhm.
and by their families, but I want it, just excited to have.
Townspeople too.
For sure. For sure.
So any ideas you have,
Oh.
anything at all, really excited to host that.
Very cool.
concert series is always an option in this area.
And I would be happy, like, if you all want to go around, tell me 2 of your favorite artists, musicians.
I know,
They're all dead.
no,
Because you're that old?
Yeah, well, 60/40.
well, there's even,
Some had some habits.
there's even
Yeah,
some
yeah.
local bands, like there's one that's performing at the winery this coming weekend. They live on the lake. I forget the name of the band, but it's Jim Port, yes. And then, what was the name of it?
It's Crosby, the one that,
Portner's in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Bob.
Bob Portner. His wife, I get his
Fly
wife.
Rod.
Fly Rod, yes, Fly Rod Crosby.
Okay.
And then there's Sarah Berriman just launched. She's a wonderful artist. I went to school with her, and she just started a band called Mooseheads, and they're out there doing all different levels of genre. They've got folk music all the way up to 70s, 80s rock. Berriman,
Sarah Trunzo?
Sarah Berriman.
But
She
she
didn't go to the college. I went to high
Sarah's
school
been
with
in
her.
twice now.
Yes. So yes. So
We'll get
you-
her back again.
yeah, she's amazing, and she has done pro bono work. When I was trying to found a Giving Tree in our town, she would come and sing at the Christmas concert and just donate her time or
It's good just to
donate.
watch other places.
Yep.
Who bring, when they pack them in,
Mhm.
that's who you should get, because they're
Yeah.
packed in for a reason, they got followings and whatnot. I just hate seeing them, I mean.
I think she lives in
when I was
Liberty
working
now,
there,
but she
I would
grew
hate
up
seeing
over
them bring
in the
people and
Birmingham.
they spend a lot of money and nobody go,
Right.
and I hate when that happens.
Yeah,
You gotta be strategic,
I've
that's
been a
all.
few of those shows, and it's.
yeah. We
It's
had-
not comfortable.
We had world-class bluegrass here, like world-class bluegrass
Yep.
a week and a half ago.
Yep.
And
I don't know.
we had about 60, 70 people.
It's not,
And everyone who came was, they loved it, but we had 200 seats and that means 140 or 130 were empty,
Right.
which was embarrassing.
yeah, when they're world class, yeah.
They were incredible. Yeah.
This was supposed to be an intimate setting though, so it just.
But still,
Have you been in the seats?
Have you been in the community? I mean, in the
No, wife,
Theater?
the person you really need to meet is my wife Leslie, and so we'll just introduce you to Leslie, because she'll
Okay.
have a field day there.
The seats are really comfortable. They come from the Hippodrome in New York City. It's
You
kind of
fall
a
asleep
crazy
to them.
thing.
Mhm.
Really?
Yeah, they're just
Never did
so
in a meeting.
comfortable. Do you know that about
No.
these two?
Amy
Yeah.
Orchid, her husband.
Who's that?
Amy Orchid,
Oh, yeah.
Alan Orchid, he's
Yeah,
got a
right.
band. I've been up to
They're good, what I don't know is they pack them in.
I know from Bangor they have. I went up to that pub house up there and they've played there.
Higgins?
So,
No, the
You know
one
what, the biggest takeaways just have to be consistent.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is like announcing a series where you've got all the bands pre-booked, pre-named, and market the crap out of it.
Even nice.
Okay.
They've been a little
Free
tight.
season tickets.
30,000 people.
Get that money up front.
Yeah.
So
Or not.
Lisa, have you ever looked into selling season tickets because then you're getting the money up front and it's just a matter if the seat's sold,
That's
it's sold. It doesn't matter if someone's sitting in it.
Mhm.
But then those are
Luxury box tickets.
luxury. Now, I don't know if we got any luxury boxes over there yet, but just an idea, like if you do
Yeah.
broadcast a series and get sell season tickets, like a discount off like a daily rate or something like that, just to kind of get more people
Yeah.
committed,
Yep.
that you may find more attendance that way and more locals will be able to work their schedules around going.
We
And
can vote on this. There was a community tab that you offered.
The Villager Pass.
The Villager
Yeah.
Pass. How did that fly? Let's make a motion, we
Everything's
vote on
gonna be
this.
T minus.
We can be here all night helping her out.
Because I had-
You make a motion to.
I
vote on
can't,
this.
I'm not
Not
on
doing
board,
it.
okay.
Make a motion to vote out of this.
Yeah.
Need a second,
I'm hoping for that.
somebody.
So we have a motion on the floor
Vote
to
on this.
accept this as written.
Yeah.
Joe?
I'd rather have more discussion.
Okay.
Okay, what do you want to know?
Well, the budget is concerning being this low, but besides that, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that the community grant program is capped at 5,000 per application in
That's a
our laws.
good question.
And I want to make sure we don't
Let's see if I can
run into
find
what
that.
happened last year and have to fix things.
Let me double check, see if I've got that right here. If I don't have it right here, I can go get it off my desk, because it's on my desk. It's in the bylaws or in the omnibus?
It's in the,
I think, you know, it's been a while since I read it.
I have a folder on my desk. When you get it.
If you want to, that would be great, because I think mine's
Find
buried
it
on my
quicker.
desk. Oh, here's, I don't know if this is the approved.
This might have to be separated.
Put in
Two separate.
There isn't a
two
cap
s-
on it, but
Yeah.
as I remember, there is per application, marketing was 1,000.
Yeah.
This is not what I want. This
Or we did
is,
another one for more.
5,000.
There are some
And then
caps
is there-
on other things for sure.
Is there a
not since I've been here, but possibly in the past, I don't know.
Submit one,
And it might be under a
and
different
then
appropriation,
submit, or
too.
Submit two at the same time.
No, I recall it's.
It's not in your
there's-
appendix,
There's
is it?
no cap on
Okay.
Okay,
the rest,
Just, yeah.
okay,
but there's a cap on per application.
got it, okay.
3 weeks
got it.
today.
Lovely.
Yeah.
They haven't updated that since like 2018.
2016, yeah. That's what Jake's working
At
on.
some point.
I could separate this out and
Well,
submit a coverage.
Let's sort of look at it, that might
I was
speak.
okay, that's more than a gallon.
Where did my, I thought I lost the live stream.
Or it's a,
Yes, so I'm a snowboarder, so we can't do it here. And they do events, like this can go. And
Faster if I can control F
Oh, it's up there. And they'll- Speaking of bingo, like at Halloween time, and you get a drink that goes with it. So there are events like that they do candlelight with Adele, so you get some corpses doing it. And they always do Adele songs or Queen songs, and it draws a lot of people. So it's unique up here, but it's pretty popular down there. I think it might be something that can get, yeah.
okay, I'll check that out. I think you just mentioned something that someone else did too. I think alcohol is like what we need to be serving.
Yeah, but you can do IOB.
I don't think
do
so. It's in the
non-alcohol
omnibus or it's
mocktails,
in the
right?
laws. I don't think it's in the
Right,
laws.
not everyone wants to drink.
Yeah. Okay,
Because usually drinks are bad anyway, so.
we just, it gets a little lazy.
You know, yes, I mean, the president of the guys at the winery with that, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, and it wasn't in this one.
I feel like there's a $5,000 cap, at least on some projections.
And that makes sense, because the other ones I submitted were for 5,000.
It's on.
I think it was
Tony,
right on
it's
the,
on this one.
it's on that one.
This is the omnibus.
I thought it was right on the grant application on top of it, wasn't it?
Let's look. It's right here.
It'd be funny if it was right on the header.
It's supposed to be information.
Well, I can very easily divide this into two submissions.
If it's not on,
It's not on the
like
application.
part, then I suggest if we find it, that we put it there.
Would-
Front and center would
Not.
prevent any other future issues.
It's not
Would
on
this
here.
committee consider
Let me just double check the
voting in a way
website too, because we
if
have
it's
the
really
up.
saying that
Website
it
and
has
the
two
program.
separate, that you would straw vote or pre-approve or?
I think we might have it. I'm just looking approval of the TIF Economic Committee ordinance. That's probably where it is.
Yeah, maybe we'd be able to approve as written under the, with the possibility that it needs to be broken into.
Membership, appointment. Nope, this is not in the ordinance.
You don't have to send it, my office is next month.
It's omnibus, marketing and community grants.
Could be wrong. Wrong many, many, many times before, and I'll be wrong many, many, many times in the future.
Creation of a new 2016 business survey. Properties in the district. This I think is the same. This is the application, but let me look at this one. Come on, be nice.
Trail set of cap.
Marketing is 500, so marketing grant program is 500, community grant is 2,500. Maximum
Yeah,
grant
my
amount,
understanding is it's exactly double what those are.
okay.
That's the old one, and then it went up to 1,000 for marketing and 5,000.
So I don't have, so that was in 2017, so let me see if I can find a later document.
Well, you would know, you applied, so you had to go through this.
I did base it on something, that's why
Yeah.
that's why I'm sticking with that.
Bylaws and
Yep.
ordinance.
I wouldn't went way higher.
And, I mean, so we could just ask
Budget
the
would be
question,
gone.
would we entertain it? Have her coming back to do it, but is that allowed?
Well, assuming we're
Can you
right.
do more than one in one
Can I
year
ask a
for the
question?
same?
Sure.
Some of these are broken down to less than 5,000. Could you?
Yeah, there is no cap
Could you
on,
put?
on the aggregate. It just says
If we
per
know that to be
aggregate.
true, then we can
Yeah.
encourage her to come back with a second if we believe this one is.
But either way, we could do 5,000 of this one, because it doesn't matter what your budget is, it's.
Right.
And may I be so bold as to even ask, can I just reconfigure this? I can send it to you in about a half hour. So that there's two separate 5 and 5, and that you,
I'm not gonna discourage you from doing it, I just wanna make sure that there's
can't.
nothing that says
I think
you
we-
can't come back.
Yeah.
Do you know what the title of the document was that you saw on the website? Because I went
Because
under,
you're giving 1-to-1,
Right.
are you supposed to give it again for the same one? I don't know that.
approve
Consider that
of
question.
ordinance omnibus law.
I would recommend we approve the 5 and then deep dive.
Yep.
And then get the
Good
correct,
discussion.
legal analysis on the other. I'm pretty confident we can do the other, but let's just.
Let's make
I don't
sure.
think it's one grant per organization.
It's definitely not.
It's not per organization, but it
Yeah.
might be for type, you know what I mean? Like, but
I don't remember that, but.
I don't think so.
We can- we can-
And then I'll-
Yeah.
we need to know.
So,
So is this for the main community foundation?
this first put it
Yeah.
10,000, it's for the Ecology Learning Center, and it would be,
So community building grant is 10,000, enterprise grant is 100, climate resiliency is 75. According to online documents.
On Town of Unities?
Yep.
What heading are you finding that under? Because I'm in Economic Development Committee Policies and Programs, and I don't have,
I have it on the folder at home, I know I do.
Via the main ZECD and CDBG.
Or whatever I printed out at that time.
So the maximum award per grant for statewide community organizations is $10,000. This is from the main community foundation. So I'm not sure what it is. Sorry.
but it may be specific, because we have our own, if we didn't pick up that
Yep.
statute
separate-
in the
separate.
2016 amendment, then it wouldn't be eligible. It'd only be eligible to what we were written under the 2016 guides for the amendment.
So remember, the amounts are amended, but not really any of the laws. From memory, it's the same as 2016. I'm also old, so.
Do you know where, you said it's a 20, let me see.
I've never seen it, it's been a long time, but. I thought it was right on the application.
No, I just looked at the application. This is what she pulled off our site, and I don't see it anywhere on the cover page. Let's see. 2016 amendment. Let me see if I can find it. I'm trying to, I don't have full access to the town database in there on this laptop, so sometimes I can pull stuff out of the cloud, but not always.
I go grab my computer.
Yeah, absolutely. I just hate to have her come back if we can provide documentation that,
Or can we just vote on this with the amended?
Do the 5,
Request?
and then this request for 5?
Right.
Can we do that? Do we have an official ask for 5, or are we just gonna do 5? Because we're not 100% sure we can do 10. And are we 100% sure we can do 5?
Definitely, I know there's no aggregate cap, regardless of those of our approvals.
So what I found must be the old one, 2017 TIF support market.
That's the one I was just reading.
What
That's
does
the
it
one
say,
that's on,
Tony?
it says 2,500 on the one that's on the website.
So we're not even 100%.
No, there's a revised version. I think
Revised?
it was 19. I know I have it on my desk.
Ordinance. 2016.
Even if you go back, remember all the reapprovals we did, everything was around the
5,000 mark, yeah.
Well, you didn't have anything except maybe the flag guys were the only
Right.
ones under $2,000.
Yep.
Everyone else is seeing that too. It's definitely a revision.
And we could pass the 5 with the understanding that if we do find out it's 2,500, we could go back and cut this up to 5 different ones.
And can the board go above and beyond a community grant, Tony? Like the select board?
So-
I don't- It's whatever it is.
Those have all obviously been paid, but, so it's a matter of just getting reimbursement for that, right, Lisa?
Yeah,
Those are all paid,
yeah, it's already been
It looked like
paid.
they were.
Exactly,
so it's just recouping.
exactly, right.
So there's.
Which is- Which is the way this always works, because, I don't think you can get, even if you put in a proposal, then you don't spend the money until it's approved, but then you can't get any
Right.
money until you've spent
Yep.
it, so. I was really initially putting this together as some of the $50,000 that was spent, that I was hoping could kind of reconfigure what the original 4 grants were for. But the original 4 grants, it is exactly double what they had originally put in. So it had said 500 for the marketing, and it actually is 1,000.
Mhm,
The other one was 2,500, and it's actually 5,000. And I know that for sure.
mhm.
I guess the big question for this committee is, are you able, willing, I don't know what your bylaws or what the requirements are, but can you accept 2 separate 5,000 ones tonight, or can you only accept one at a time?
I'm not comfortable with that until we can find.
Okay,
I agree with that, until we know for sure.
I'm highly confident you're eligible, but
okay. And so
I'm comfortable with 5,000 for it.
do you want me to right now send you by email a note that says just an application for 5,000, and then
I think we
No,
could just vote.
just
and
cross
then
it off.
35 on the-
Right.
Okay.
We don't need to do it.
okay, great.
I mean, if you go back through this, I mean, this is just partly, it's not just interpretive, but it's also practical. If you go back through, you have a 4 in front of you for the proposal.
Yeah.
Go to number 4. Marketing grant program, community grant program, those are separate programs. So when you look at what both of these are, when you look at the line items under what each are for, basically you get a new occupancy for a new building.
Mhm.
You can't get occupancy unless things are working. which is part of your economic development, and you're not marketing because you can't open, because you can't get an occupancy to open. So use permit, right? So half of that goes under marketing, because you've got to be able to put together something for how does a building get functional?
Mhm.
You can't even open the doors if it's not functional. And then a community grant program being separate. So because there's nothing written in here, and that would be our issue. We don't have limits based on just the application itself. So I think if you go ahead and split those,
We do.
we have limits in an omnibus, but we don't, what I'm saying is it's not listed here. So if you do split those up,
When you're at 5,000 at one time.
but they're different programs.
Right.
Right. So if you have different programs, the aggregate number isn't gonna matter. It's which program it's coming from.
So you're saying
No, I don't agree with that
one year,
because
1 year,
it's
and do it that way? because they're
5,000.
different things, but-
Still only, if we go on the premise that marketing is
5,000
1,000 and
per
community is
application.
5, it'd only be 6,000. They could only award 6,000 tonight under that premise.
So you have a limit for marketing.
Yes.
Yes, there's 1,000, based on what we were just talking about, we're trying to find the document that approved where it increased from 5
Sure.
to 1,000 and 25 to 5.
When I did marketing community, I did 2 separate applications, even though there was a lot of redundancy in there.
Mhm.
The one for marketing. It
For
was
1,000 for each.
No, one was 1,000, the other was 5,000. One was community, one was marketing. So I just did them as separate ones. My issue is not the funding, I just don't want to run into trouble that.
We ran into
we just
before,
spent, months cleaning up.
or even longer than that.
So tonight,
You spend a lot.
tonight feasibly, we could have a $5,000 community grant proposal and $1,000 marketing.
Based off what she's given in this
Right.
one document, because it does say it's for both, so you could actually say this is a dual application in that respect.
And then next month, we could follow with another $5,000. Or a little less
Or
than 5,000.
Yeah.
There, yeah. Reasonable set, and so you have to reply.
Yeah. But she could
Change the
just
word.
change the amount on the same documentation.
But
Right.
still, it's
For
gotta be
sure.
received as a second application.
Sure.
I wouldn't wait that
So,
fast as you can get it sent tonight.
Do it tomorrow.
That's right.
So,
A month in
We just
advance
did tell
now.
everybody first come, first served, so.
so I'll motion to approve this as a joint marketing community grant application for $6,000.
That seems plausible. Seconded.
We got a first and a second.
We just gotta vote.
Is there
Who
any more,
wants a second?
is there any more discussion?
Oh, Scott, okay, thank you.
Can you believe that? Six.
I'm
still searching.
while you're searching, so all in favor? Okay, Grace, yes,
4-0.
gotcha. We've got plenty of discussion.
It's Justin on the phone anyway.
It isn't beeping at me, so I'm assuming, are you still awake there, Mr. Tozier?
No.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Sorry to wake you.
Hey,
Here's your original copy you wanted.
We just had a vote. And
He had his hand in the air.
yeah, you had your hand in the air.
it's a little bit hard to hear, honestly.
Well, we approved the 2 grants. Just for the record, we can find out if it was a yay or a nay.
Are you a yay or a nay on either of the 2 votes taken tonight?
I'm a yay.
On the ELC and on the library?
Oh, don't press it. No.
On the LC, I haven't seen the form on the library, but honestly, I'll be there in like 4 minutes. But
Okay, come on
It
in.
doesn't matter,
Come on in.
and I'll just abstain from the library.
Okay.
There's nothing here either. Been through every one of these.
Mhm.
Like I said, I have a paper copy, I don't throw anything out. Tax returns.
Don't get me started.
Does this 6,000 then go to the select board?
Yes, Tuesday night,
Tuesday.
next Tuesday. Yep.
Thank you.
So I'll put that on the agenda. If you want to be present to present it, you're welcome.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
And then, and we'll keep reading in the meantime.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. There's enough minds here. We'll probably have an answer sometime tomorrow, so.
Thank you. Thank you for all your.
Thanks for your patience.
suggestions. Oh, yeah, thanks for your flexibility.
And I'll send Leslie over to you soon.
Okay,
That'll
fantastic.
be fine.
Okay, looking forward to that.
So what are these hubs? I'm assuming we're moving on.
So we gotta go back to number 2, right? TIF amendment
Oh,
update. So Jacob has received all the documents he's working on. He gave me an update today that he's starting to do the research on that, and the forms necessary to do the amendment, but he couldn't be here tonight to present.
Yeah.
He's at a business-related event in Portland, so he said that he would send us his updates via email for review as soon as he has them.
That's terrific.
And does that work on the
TIF amendment.
revised?
Amending it to
Amending
get
it.
those statutes that we haven't had included since 2016.
Okay, maybe that's not what I'm thinking of.
Okay.
Something I was trying to understand a little further was we had a deadline that we had to have things spent by
So-
2026, and that was extended?
So it's not extended. We got clarification
Yeah.
from
understand
the
that.
Economic Development Department that at any time before the closure of the TIF, which basically the deadline is that you can't tax any longer, but you have 3 years after your deadline to expend, and then after that, you're audited to prove what you did spend and why. So what we're asking Jacob to do, you can amend this up until the end of its period to include any statutes that were passed that were not included in any of our amendments. There's some really key ones that did get approved in the early 2000s that included use of TIF funds for emergency services, some for municipal upgrades, and there's
Some for facilities.
upgrades. There's other things that are also out there that is, they also said that you could renew your TIF if you intended to increase transient housing and low-income housing within the district, which I don't think we have enough land mass left in the district to even consider that. So the best option is to amend, so we can pick up any other statutes that allows us to broaden who the funds can go to and how they get applied, rather than everything being dumped into, like you said, trails. You know, we've done a lot of trails, but there may be other things that we could, review over the next 3 years that might better the community, build the infrastructure, something like that, to bring more businesses in. And then the next step would be working on writing a whole new district. Picking another parcel, you can encompass the same district that you have, but you can no longer tax the structures that were added during the window of the TIF. Like, so it was a 20-year TIF. But if a new structure or a new addition came in, like say Edwards decides to rebuild or something like that, and we encompass that area in the new TIF mapping, then that would be included, stuff like that. Or I think the racetrack is so if the racetrack did add improvements, that extra taxation could be applied for any improvements on the new
Yeah, I don't
district.
think they are.
I can't remember. I haven't looked at the map closely
Because I
enough.
looked at it, the closest to me was like right before Edwards.
Right before Edwards, yeah.
So
It goes
don't-
kind of the other way, I think.
Yeah, so I would have understood this track.
Yeah.
So it's definitely more complicated than just, we've got more months to spend money.
Yeah, we do, but we also can broaden what the funds can be used for, which I think is a good service to the community, especially where we're starting to grow. We're seeing more business, more kids coming in to, attend the new school in the area. I think that the more we can grasp as far as the utilization of the funds, it will draw more variety per se of, the population. So, and then obviously we'd work on a new TIF for the next 20 or 30 or whatever limit timeframe was. That's all I had for
That's
that.
great. Thank you so much. That's good. That's good. Since we have our guest, would you like to make an
Chris,
introduction?
I'm gonna make sure I pronounce your last name. Is it what? Harney.
Howdy.
So,
Hi.
Chris is a resident of Unity, he lives on the lake, and his son also lives on the lake. Hey, he's there.
There you go.
I met Chris actually in town, getting my haircut for the first time, but then met him again at a recent Friends of Lake Winnetou meeting up at Stone Tree. And for anybody that doesn't know what's going on with that, they are undertaking a fundraiser to pay for the potential alum treatments on the lake, which is awesome. I have witnessed those working on a few other Central Maine lakes. East Pond is the one I've had the most experience with. It's worked amazingly well in terms of keeping the algal blooms down. It's not gonna clean the lake, but it will keep the algal blooms away, which will help people continue to swim, play in the lake and do things and be a little more comfortable, let their dogs swim without worrying about them keeling over. So, and that's a real thing. So we got talking and I told him that I was a member of the EDC and that, we were talking about new ideas and things to bring people to the town, utilize the lake potentially, and ideas. Well, Chris opened his mouth and told me, well, actually it was your wife that said it first, I think, but they have experience in planning events and big events. So I said, you know what? Yeah, I'd love to talk more. And then he sent me this. And I just thought there was some really, or not this, where did it go? Right here.
No.
This one? Yeah.
Engaged seasonal homeowners at the top.
And there were just some really good ideas on there. And I thought, it's crazy not to invite him to visit with us. Obviously, I've done small events, comparatively speaking. So to have somebody in the community that has, the know-how, the experience and things, I think is really valuable for us. So I asked him to come along. So
Yeah, I mean,
welcome, Chris.
thanks. So some of my history, I've been in IT my whole life. In 2003, I found a piece of software and started a small user group. And then it turned to a position where we're renting let's stay twice a year to draw people. So 4,000 or 5,000 people to an event. And we went across the country to Indianapolis, Chicago, San Jose. So it scales pretty well. And then in 2019, COVID hit, and I said, there's not a lot of value for this. We shut it down, and I started another company. And there were two other guys. It's an IT consulting company. Some of our clients are Jackson Labs, Bangor Savings, State of Maine, Hampshire Rhode Island, HX. So we kind of figured some of that stuff out. But a lot of the stuff is really awareness, right? If you put I was talking to Joe about how do you put a box down here to let voters donate? He says, someone's got to wreck these boxes. So you got to be thinking, what can we do outside of just, because this is necessary research, right? So this gets me all wound up. In 2017, 45% of the lakes in America were at risk. We fast forward to 2020, and now we're up to 50% of the lakes are at risk in the country. Well, at this rate, by 2030, we're not going to have lakes to swim in. So this is not a Unity problem, right? You have to think bigger because Unity can't solve this problem. Right? So I started thinking, how do we think bigger than the town of Unity? How do we get the college involved? And then, what happens if we think a little bit bigger, right? And we say, all right, our goal is to turn Unity College into a research facility to figure out how to draw this stuff out of the lake. No one really has a solution. I've seen water purifiers where you can scoop up terrible water like in India and then drink it afterwards. So there's got to be a solution to actually pull these PCBs and nitrogens and all this stuff out of the lake. We just haven't. Someone hasn't put a concerted effort at it. And if you figure that, hey, if you can put a research facility like that, bigger companies like Microsoft, the Gates Foundation, they're going to get behind it because guess what? It's also going to create businesses for them. They're going to say, hey, this research facility is going to tell us where we need to go to create money because it's not just, I think the NHL, right? Where did all these NHL hockey players start skating? It wasn't on ice rinks, so it was in bad ponds. You look at the big yachting companies, those guys, they want to sell more boats, Honda wants to sell more engines. All these guys may have a vested interest if they did a big enough plan outside of Unity. So this is just a thought. I've got too many ideas in my head that I'm working on. But you've got seasonals around here, right? So how do you engage them? It's not, are they part of the community or are they just vacationing here? I know they had an idea to, hey, can you give 2% of your value to fix the lake? Well, what do you get back from the lake? In China Lake, someone goes around all these camp lots in the spring with gravel and stuff to fix the road and erosion. How does some of that funding come back in to benefit them after they've done it? So that's where the idea of the legacy plaque came in, and then how do you use that money afterwards? And not just use it, you've got to make sure that a percentage of it goes towards marketing. You know, a percentage of it needs to go into a trust that keeps giving back, right? You can't spend it all every year. So you have to define those from the onset, what percentages are gonna go where. You know, this joke keeps, see those fireworks, right? So he keeps talking about the fireworks. Down in, again, I'm a snowbird, so down in Tampa, my wife and my neighbor and I, we compete in Kansas City Barbecue Association events. There are none of those up here, none that I'm aware of. So how do you start a small community barbecue event? I see seafood festivals, I see wooded pie festivals, I see all these other things. What if you start a barbecue festival, right? You know, maybe and get companies around here, whether it's construction companies, Sappy Paper, to compete in those against each other. And start that way. You have an alumni here. Those alumni are very proud of this college, right? They're proud of they came here,
Most of them are.
right? So
Yeah,
I've
most
involved-
of them. We're two of them that are proud of it, right?
So how do you engage them? How do you get a mailing and say, look, it's not just the lake it's a risk, it's the lake, it's the town, it's the loons, it's the eagles,
Yeah.
you know, it's all the ecosystem around here. So do you come back for alumni? Are you gonna come back to a swamp, or are you gonna want to come back to a King Lake? So engage in them, get a list to say, hey, and then have a website to see which classes donated the most. It's a competition. So, I mean, look through these. I'm not gonna go through all of them unless you want me to, but like sign by the local law with a QR. They donate to this, you know, if they know it's in danger and needs to, throw $10, $20. And it's not about the money, it's about the awareness. So, same thing with if you go to all these redemption centers, put a sign up, hey, donate your bottles to Save Lake Winnipeg. Again, people, that's an easy one. I don't want to stand there and have my bottles down at 37 cents. You know, it's just, and then, like I said, the Unity Pig Jam, but then make it bigger, make a goal of raising enough money and awareness to turn Unity into a research facility that's working on ways to filter this stuff out of the water. Because someone will figure it out. And why not start here, make this a blueprint for other communities?
We already have research going on in town, if anybody doesn't know, for PFAS. On the Hunter Farm going out of town on the left-hand side, the University of Maine is already doing research over there. The whole thing with Friends of Lake Winnipook, I just, again, want to make that clear. That's for algal blooms. It's not going to do anything to the PFAS or anything else in the lake.
That's just a
But
band-aid.
it's still, it's something.
Yes.
And I mean, obviously, we all know the lake does benefit, town tremendously benefits from having that lake there. Every day there's people coming to this town to visit our lake, mostly to fish, to boat. The other night, I bet you, 4th of July, I'll bet you I watched $100,000 worth of fireworks go off on that.
Oh, easy. Oh my God.
Easily.
Yeah,
It was
South End,
crazy how many
South
fireworks,
East
I
side.
watched for over an hour.
Yes.
And they were coming from north, south, east, west,
Yes.
every which way. And it was a great show. There's always, so, I mean, there's a lot on this lake, and I just think that if we could get an annual
You need a
thing
marketing
together,
Campaign.
and this could help with this, I think we get something annual together in this town that would draw people in. That, and now to know that we have some talented people that, I think, when the townspeople start to realize that we are pushing for an event, and to make it an annual event, that the talent will come out of the woodwork. This is just one person that I met. The talent is in this town. There's really awesome people that live here.
And you've got.
And I don't know if you guys heard this, but there's money in this town too.
It's a lot.
There was a person that donated anonymously.
But is that a
What was
carrot?
it, $450,000?
Yeah, almost a
And
half a
I'll
million
match
dollars.
everything up to
Up to
450,000.
$450,000 for the
Huge.
alum treatment. That's a
But-
huge.
But I also think if you have a bigger idea, you
There's
might
people
get
with
more.
deep pockets in this town, with roots in this town, that care about this town and care about anything. So a good event,
Well,
that
it
comes
comes
from
a
us,
good marketing
whatever.
campaign, a good email campaign, a drip campaign, website. It's
Great
not just,
barbecue competition.
Those
So
two,
we talked about this last meeting about getting professionals in for marketing events. I'm all for that.
we have good
I
people
tell
here.
you, everything he's saying, I like, except I wouldn't like to see an annual, I'd say like that season opener and closer.
Yeah.
Well, you start with one, right? I mean.
Start with one, yeah,
Let's
the
do
annual
one.
is great.
The first one is
Getting
great.
volunteers is tough.
And, but I do gotta say, you need to leave the college out of this, because the college is, frankly, the alumni is not popular with a lot of people in this town.
Nah, it's not true.
Let me rephrase that. The people that I talk to, my customers that I talk to all the time, they're upset about it.
There's a lot of us
There is,
that are
but
still
it's,
here.
when it's divisive,
So-
it's probably best to. not do it.
I think there's a lot more alumni than you think that are still very have a very, very caring,
I'm sure they do, and we can
you
agree
know,
to disagree.
feel for
I'm
the
just
town
telling you
still.
The
They still
feedback
care about it.
that I get
Yeah.
on a daily basis.
That
Yeah.
they're upset that it's.
Yeah, that they're doing nothing.
Oh, of course.
Oh, yeah, I think a lot- a lot
We all
of us
are
are.
upset about that. Let's be very clear about that.
Very little friends.
Yeah, including that in it, I don't think would be helpful.
Yeah, but they're a pile of alum. There's a lot more people here that live here. I'm still finding them daily.
Mm.
Kid? I didn't know
Yeah.
you went to school there.
Yeah.
I still find them on a regular basis.
But if they start donating, would that change the temperature?
Oh, they already have.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a big way.
Okay.
Alumni? Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'm not aware, so I'm like
Yep.
new to the town.
But I'm just saying, and I don't 100% disagree with you. There are.
I don't think
it's a risk
involving
to
necessarily
involve them.
college per se as the university. I think that if you look for the grassroots alumni that are here and do care,
Those are two separate things.
I know.
Yeah,
And I
But
think that's
asking
what this
alumni,
target
The
is.
alumni's name on it is good. I mean,
Yes.
college's name on it.
No.
Oh,
And
okay,
it's
I thought you meant
obviously,
asking alumni was bad.
No.
no, I
Oh,
think
no,
No,
asking
I
alumni
think
is a
that, and I like the idea that he presented that, you know, if there was a way to get someone involved in using the college for a research center would be amazing. It was just not something that we as a board can take care of.
No, I'm just, again, my ideas go with,
No,
you
yeah.
know, like,
Yeah.
you just not
Could
say.
be the new
Sorry, I'll say that
National
on record.
Institute of Feedback. Right there.
Hey, it'll be
That's a heck of a
utilized.
URL.
It'll be utilized. And they did a ton of research on it anyway. I mean, those core samples that everybody was using at Friends of Lake Winnicott for the research were taken by Kevin Spiegel and the geoscience students
Yep,
at Unity College.
Yep.
So, I mean, I was there for a bunch of them when they did them, and I watched them pull them out of the freezer for demos at open houses, all kinds of stuff. So the research has, a lot of this stemmed from research already done at Unity College,
Yep.
which is great.
Yep.
That wasn't you making it today.
it was Unity College students doing
Kevin
it.
Spiegel.
Hands-on
Just
in the
ideas,
classroom.
I just,
Oh, no, I
I like
think
it,
these are great ideas.
I like how you think it.
Yeah, I appreciate your thought process.
Yep. Putting that together, that's awesome.
Yeah, if we turn it into
I
an
mean-
annual thing and we could utilize it as partial benefit for something like this project, then keep it going. Keep the lake clean. Once you get it to that point, okay, now new stuff. Every year, we should, a chunk of whatever we do, raise money, figure out how to do it and give it to the research to. Because the cleaner that gets, the better that gets. You could just bring brown trout back. When I got here 33 years ago, you could catch 5 and 6 pound brown trout in this lake. Seriously, you can't find a trout in that lake anymore. And it's partially because it is a warm water lake. That's part of it. That's one of the reasons Fish and Wildlife abandoned their stocking program in the lake. It's a warm water lake. Yes, it's still got 38 to 40 foot in one spot, and there's a center part out near the islands and whatnot that is, 25 to 35 feet deep on a regular basis. But the far north end is 12 feet deep. It's warm, 70-some degree water right now. I mean, it's crazy.
so,
The southern end is the same. But,
and I'm also working with Dana Moser.
Huh?
I'm also working with Dana Moser.
Okay.
Small community
cool.
together this stuff.
But
There's a pike in the lake.
But if we could get, if they came, we would be back on the map in a heartbeat. I watched the Belgrades, I watched people go to Great Pond and Messalonsky to do those
Oh,
things.
great.
Fishing, if it wasn't for PFAS, the crappie fishermen would be coming here like they used to. As soon as PFAS was announced and they put us on the list, do not eat, we lost our crappie fishermen, and we have world-class crappie fishing on that.
Oh, it's amazing.
It's
It's
amazing.
so overpopulated, they're not growing to full
No,
size.
now they're not. They
Yeah,
used to be
They're old
16, 18
crappies,
inches.
But they're still kind of small.
Yeah.
And, if
At
they
least
get them to
16.
full size. I mean,
Strike the
people
18.
still come. But I think
They
if
were
you
there.
introduce more pike in the lake.
Okay, we're actually, right.
So, I mean, that thing, I know a lot of people, I don't live on the lake, I don't care about the lake. You better care about the lake because that draws a lot of people.
There's a lot of tax base there.
You know, there is a huge tax base on that lake, for not just us, Troy, Burnham, I mean, come on.
Non-serviceable tax, like we don't, the town doesn't service
Yeah.
those people, right?
Mhm.
Almost like free tax when they put down, whatever it is.
I mean,
It's a lot of
bird
resorts.
watchers, it's everywhere, paddlers,
Oh,
you
the
name
people
it.
coming down the like the
I
Eagles.
mean, they drive by you all the time, you see the traffic more than anybody, he's right on Canopolis, just off. So he sees
The
it.
Eagles was there.
I see
last
it.
year.
Yeah.
I mean,
I drive down just to watch the sunrise and all of a sudden there's 10 people there. Like, really? Just like that? Okay. But I just think if we took what we were talking about, a town, a big party, so to speak, and we did it, we had a purpose.
I've
That
heard
could
people,
work.
just because I'm in here all the time, people really miss the whole feel of the old Unity Festival, you know, bringing all of that together, competition, festival.
Now I think there's a bigger.
Unity
motivation.
Festival, they used to have
Before
Unity
my
Day, they had Unity Days, kind of like a small town
Right.
festival, like not carnival, but they had like they had like
Like
farmers
Thorndike
market
Days,
and
the stuff.
Yeah. they had kids, 5K, there was a 5K, there was vendors, there was kids games, there was just a little bit of everything.
We can do this.
Fire
We
department
have-
put on a barbecue, I mean, there was all
We have
these
talent in
different
town,
things.
And
that-
obviously, I mean, this was one conversation.
Yeah,
So if each of us brings somebody that has some experience or interest, not just a volunteer, but somebody with experience, and they're here. You talk to people that I don't even talk to, all of us. Everybody here talks to somebody that I don't talk to. That's great. Do they have talent that can be utilized? Are they willing to help us? That's why I wanted Chris to be here. I was like, absolutely, come on in. And I had no clue. But how many other people live on that lake or in town? I mean, I know some really talented people in this town that if you have a good cause, would be willing to join, donate, do whatever.
Yeah, that's good. Super encouraging.
It is.
Thank you.
No,
Even more
those are
important,
great
thank
ideas.
you for coming.
Oh, my pleasure. I mean, I'm from the community as well. I mean, my son's here, my daughter's.
wouldn't it be
It's so
amazing though,
fantastic.
because next year is the 250th anniversary of our country.
Right.
Why couldn't we try to get a committee together to have the first annual something by next 4th of July?
What are we, like 210?
So could I be honest?
I don't know what our
wouldn't
intent-
pick July 4th.
No, I wouldn't either, but you wouldn't have
You know, what I
to,
look at this is do like the first Friday in August.
right, like another date, like
Yeah.
it's, the whole year is our anniversary, so if we
right.
plan something to be the first in that
I
year.
mean,
that we
it's obviously
draw.
not happening this year, but if we could get something together and start planning for next year.
Weather-wise, it's like, what, the last 2 weeks in July, first couple in August
Yes.
is usually best.
And dry. This part of Waldo County, the north end of the lake's not good for it, but the south end of the lake, we stay dry and they get wet. And you think I'm kidding? Totally true.
So watch
Oh,
it.
it's insane.
So, let me know if it helps.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%, thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure.
While we have you, what is your number, just so we can follow up?
Oh, boy. It's 207
207?
615 9177.
Do you ever pass the boat launch?
Before the tracks.
Just the first driver afterwards.
I only know from the week.
From like, it's a long gray house. Long, it's right there.
It's kind of open and high up.
And then there's like 1,000 feet of beach before that, so.
I hope they jack that up after 92,
They get a little flooded.
a little bit.
So I'm on, you can't see me from where you are, but I'm across the island on the right, on the east side.
Okay, my son's on Robin Road.
After you,
That's after me, so I'm on this side of Hyper Brook.
Okay.
What's your son's name?
CJ,
I guess you know that.
he's been here since 19.
he bought Scott Melrose's old place.
Because the other
the other people in off of Robert Lane, that you just don't have to, their daughter is 12 and the kids play with them. Like softball and stuff. So I know that Steve and something else.
Cool. Thanks for the ideas for this.
No, that was
Appreciate it. Welcome to stay, and if you gotta go, you can go too.
Yeah, I'm good. I thought you guys could donate, so I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, down when this is done.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's good.
And I have to leave. Lisa and I have a meeting at the Pottery Studio for 8:00. So
Awesome.
if there's other
We're
business.
not gonna do any more voting anything. tonight, so we're-
Minutes, do you have minutes? Do you have minutes on here? Do you have minutes to approve? Do you have the minutes done from last month? Or do you want to table them till? That'd be the only other voting
Yeah.
item.
Motion to table the minutes.
Let's just,
Next
let's
meeting.
do it.
There we go.
They're on the thing.
Second
I
that.
just didn't print them, but yeah.
Yeah, so let's,
Yeah.
so Chris Newberry is gonna take, as a motion to table June's minutes till next.
Thank you, sir.
I know how that works.
Do we have to motion to adjourn after this, or?
No. We have a motion to table the minutes. Need a second.
We did, yeah.
Okay.
Joe second.
Joe second. And then vote. Do we find? So do we want to just, do you want to continue with this even though they have to leave?
I
or-
think I'd rather pause
Mhm.
and then come back to what we're doing. And depending on your both schedules, other things, we should have some other follow-up discussions for this because it ties into some of what I was gonna share anyway.
Mhm.
So I think in some ways, we got there, which is beautiful and great time. And then we'll just go ahead and prepare some follow-up notes for next month and see how we can develop this forward further, which is great. Yeah. So let's just have a motion to adjourn since we'll do that.
No, one question.
Oh, yeah.
Since the college came up, we made the recommendation to the selectmen on council. I just wanted to tell me any
I spoke
updated
with,
progress or if there's anything.
Anything at all?
yeah, no.
Yeah, no.
No.
It's out there, just not back
Yeah, I
yet.
called two of the attorneys that we usually deal with. They both had nothing to say about it. One said that they couldn't work with us, the other one didn't have anything. They gave me a lead to somebody else. I haven't followed up.
It's because they have clients that represent, they're one of their,
Conflicts.
we can't get advice from the attorneys we normally use because of the conflict. They represent the colleges on Bassett.
I did talk to Ellery again, and I brought it up to him, and he said that he didn't, because they were renting space. And the college is not renting space, to anybody.
Forever, they're also not using occupancy as the second one.
But I guess in that article that you pointed out,
Thank you all.
basically because they were renting space and stuff.
Right,
Yeah, absolutely.
The town sued them because they were renting. Or said, well, it's de minimis, like you're 99%
What's the
following
issue?
guidelines, so. Their exemption on property tax, that's the issue.
Not for profit. What are you gonna do?
It's not being
Doesn't
used
work
for,
that way.
it doesn't work that way.
It isn't being used,
So,
so if it,
Oh, yeah, this is your,
I'm a mom and former employee. so-
No, you were out with your dad when we went over this.
Ah.
That's why.
Okay,
Yeah, we gave her a resignation to bring it to council because being a nonprofit doesn't exempt you from property taxes. There's criteria stating
right.
use and occupancy.
And so they're in violation of that.
Because the
By
campus
layman's
is not.
interpretation of the state legislation, yeah, it appears to be. And there was another case for Hebron Academy where the town took this, they were renting out their like auditorium for commercial amounts.
Right,
The town sued it and said, we're gonna.
but they haven't been doing that.
No.
No.
Hasn't been
this-
used at all,
this-
probably for a reason.
But that's not the point.
Well, there's
And
two
this-
facets. There's two different rulings that could be applicable here. The one is in the Hebron Academy, they were gaining income, right? So that one nullifies and makes them
But it was
ineligible for nonprofit.
1% of their budgets, the court said this is de minimis. It's-
Right.
Right. But with the
And they were
use,
using and occupying the property as its intended purpose for the community.
But they're
Community is
not,
not.
they're not.
You, UBI $4 million exemption.
But they are attempting to sell it.
Right.
Which actually bolsters the claim of use and actually what's your goal is profit. My goal is to sell it at profit from it.
You know,
Even-
the goal is to sell it and invest it into,
Even if,
The college.
even if you're saying you're paying off debt, so it's their property, but why should they get an exemption when most of us don't?
I think the idea is to find a lawyer to try to put a knife in his side and press him on something, right?
Or just spur activity.
Or
Yeah.
speed
Spur
the
activity.
process
I mean,
up,
geez.
right?
It's not
can't make
punitive.
anybody buy it, which sucks.
But didn't he offer to the town with a bunch of stipulations? I heard that from
Don't know.
Don't know.
Nothing in writing.
Tony says no.
Nothing in
Nothing.
writing.
It's not in writing,
yeah, it's not really gonna happen.
so.
I mean, they've had people look, I've seen multiple
Tony
people
says
go
we don't
by,
have the scary drawings.
walking around, getting tours, I've taken groups on tours, so.
Unrelated business income is usually what the category is, and it's gotta push 20%.
Right.
If it's not close
But
to
that's
20,
not, but that's not the sole criteria for the state of Maine, it's use and occupancy. Are you using and
Sure.
occupying the property for its intended use when you apply for tax exempt status?
Sure.
And they're not.
LLC, and you're an operative
That's-
LLC, like you don't have an LLC.
Right.
Right.
What would the taxes be on a assessed $25 million property?
Well, that's not.
Well, that's the other thing,
They
Ellery
have
said
like
you have to
15
actually go out and
properties,
assess.
Some they do pay taxes on.
Yeah.
Because they never pulled them in.
Right.
And there was like 6 other smaller ones, and the main campus, the assessor has 24 million.
But it's
He
probably
sold
way
off
more
a lot
than
of
that.
A lot of the stuff that was given to him as well.
Yeah.
Like the stuff in Thorndike, there was 100.
It's just about-
Yeah, they did a couple of big properties that are gone.
I think he still owns
So you can
McKay
put it in
Farm,
the-
right?
Yeah.
It's
they're
about being
still
fair.
overpaid.
That's it.
McKay actually still has people using it.
So there is one
Not
little
often.
glitch to this whole thing, even if the attorney says he can take the case, that property has not been really assessed.
Yep.
With going out there and measurement.
Measurements, so it would
can help you.
They have
require,
appraisal, so they probably hand you their appraisal.
but an appraisal,
$30 million bucks.
well,
if
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
That's what's.
I'm sure I can help
24.
the town out with that because I work for a company that does that. No, I do, in Dixmoor.
There you go.
So that's our update.
I appreciate it. I figured it would be a slow process.
Yeah.
Lawyers take forever unless you owe them money and they're pretty.
We're paying them upfront.
Yeah.
There's a reason they invented retainers.
I just don't want to do anything that would get in the way of a potential sale.
So do you want to do a motion to adjourn so we can,
Is that possible?
no?
No, we did that.
Yes.
You interrupted it,
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay. Thank you.
there you go.
Yes, 100% we could.
Good.
I've had to talk them down many times.